Good evening, everybody. Hello, it's Elena Barbera. I am the base mother. Welcome back to my Friday night show. I'm so psyched to have you here tonight. We're going to be talking about George Clooney and the follow-up on Biden's big boy press conference. And I've got Seth Eisenberg from the Conservative Corner podcast coming on tonight to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about what's going on in Oklahoma and Louisiana, bringing the 10 Commandments and the Bible back to school. That should be interesting. Let's just get right to it.
Have you heard of the based mother?
All right, there's one thing I just want to get out of the way. Okay. So people on Twitter this week were bugging out because Nancy Pelosi said something that they said was racist and mean to a reporter asking her questions. Check this out.
Do you believe that him waiting so long to make the decision
I'm not going to make any comments in the hallway about the fate of our nation. Okay?
Are you concerned whether or not he can win in November?
I think he can win.
Do you believe he should run for re-election?
I'm not speaking English to you. I'm not going to be making any statements about any of that right now in the hallway.
All right, listen, I'm in no habit of defending Nancy Pelosi. I can't stand this lady. I had the Poopalosi guy, Armando, the guy who a couple of years ago took a poop on her driveway. Like, he came over my house and I cooked him dinner. All right. So like, I'm no fan of hers, but let me tell you, this is something that we should not be getting mad about. Okay. First of all, she didn't do anything wrong. Saying, am I speaking English to you? This is how I talk to my family all day long. I say the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, am I speaking English? This is no big deal. She even threw in the Italian hand gesture. I got to give it to her. But most of all, what's most important is to see conservatives flipping out. And because she talked to this reporter that way and saying it's racist. Listen, you can say something to a Black person and it not be racist. Give me a break. We are not libs. We are not thin-skinned. And if you're getting that way, pull yourself back and pull yourself together, because we have to be better than that. We have real issues to focus on, other than that Nancy Pelosi didn't want to answer a question in the hallway. All right? Can we all agree to not act like that, please? I really appreciate it. It would be good for all of us. But speaking of real problems, last night, Biden held his big boy press conference. Finally, in case you missed it, the White House has been getting a lot of pressure to put Biden one-on-one in front of reporters, without pre-planned questions and all that. Just let me show you this, just so you're clear.
The president will hold a press conference, I guess a big boy press conference is what we're calling it, and take some questions from y'all.
This week, President Biden will speak to national labor leaders of AFL-CIO, host the NATO summit to show the unprecedented strength of our alliance, hold a press conference, a big boy press conference, according to Justin Sink from Bloomberg.
Very embarrassing that they, played along with that little joke about the big boy press conference, but finally they had it last night. And it's been the talk of the town today. So I'm going to bring on Seth Eisenberg from the Conservative Corner podcast here on the Patriots Prayer Network. And we're gonna bat it around a little bit. Seth, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. It's not 300 degrees in Maryland, so it's good.
Nice. All right. So did you watch the press conference?
As much as I could stomach.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I watched it. I had plans last night, so I had to watch it today. And I had to put it on 1.5 speed. Yeah. Because he's so boring. He's so slow. It's like he is legit mostly dead. It's crazy.
It's almost to the point where you can't be mad at the dude. You have to be embarrassed for him and ashamed of him, because he's representing the country. And if that's how we feel about him, what does the rest of the world feel about him? What do they think when they see that old doddering fool stumble on stage?
And he was in good shape last night too. It was pretty good as Biden performances go. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they had the cattle prod juiced up just enough to get the electricity flowing. It's anytime he opens his mouth and starts to talk, it's like a horror show because you're waiting for the gore to just all of a sudden explode, or him to like just start babbling because you know it's going to come, and it's anticipation that kills you on it because it's going to be there. You just don't know when, and you don't know how bad it's going to be.
It's sad, it's frustrating, and yesterday it was also boring. Here's the big takeaway from his everything he said. Imagine being president, and this is the biggest, most important thing that people are talking about.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris?
Hold on, I'm having some technical difficulties. I don't know why.
Gotta love technology. It's awesome.
It is not my friends, never has been.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
I mean, we all misspeak. We all put words in our mouth, but we're not running the free world here.
No.
We're not trying to run America. He's running America into the ground. I mean, what?
I mean, all you really can. I mean, at this point, it's either scream or laugh. I mean, it is what it is with him. It's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. It's like watching a Jerry Springer episode every time he talks. I mean, Vice President Trump, I wouldn't have picked him to be my vice president, but she's not capable of it. Shut up. Dude, you just don't know when to stop. Just stop.
Well, he
What
just
they should
doesn't.
actually start doing with him is like they do with the Academy Awards. When he starts talking too much, start playing the music and making it louder and kind of just play him off and have somebody just walk him out. That's what they got to start doing. I mean, because he's not going to stop. It's a train wreck.
I would really prefer Showtime at the Apollo, where they just come out with the guy comes out with a big cane and just pulls him off the stage. But yours is probably a little more dignified.
Or just start throwing rocks at him.
Yeah, tomatoes, rotten tomatoes, something. No, really, it's sad. It's embarrassing. One of the most embarrassing thing I noticed is that half of the I'd say half the questions from those reporters were about his cognitive abilities. At this point, he's so practiced at that answer that he could do that one in his sleep. And there were so many missed opportunities. And I know mostly they focused on foreign policy because of where he was. But they also had that opportunity with the big boy press conference to talk about what's going on here in America. Nobody talked about immigration and all the Americans being murdered and robbed and assaulted.
Yeah.
By the illegal immigrants and states being bankrupted by it. Nobody talked about crime. It was really kind of embarrassing. It was all softballs, the whole thing.
Well, everything when it comes to him is by design now. There's nothing that's happenstance or just, ooh, wow, how did that happen? It's all planned. They're not going to ask him any questions that's going to cause him to stand there and drool on himself. So they're going to give him the easy way out because at this point, the media and the Democrats realize we know that they've known about this for years. There's no more hiding it. They've tried to cover this up, and now they can't. So now they're trying to make it look like, well, it's not that bad. So they're going to
we're going to just get us used to it.
That's what they're trying to condition us to be like. Oh, it's like that uncle everybody's got, the crazy one that no one really talks to, but it's accepted because it's Uncle Bill. That's what Uncle Bill does. So it's okay. This is Uncle Joe. This is what Uncle Joe does. It's okay because he's a good guy. He's a nice guy, and that's what they're gonna wheel him out like that, and that's how they're gonna try to play it for as long as they can.
Well, this is what happens when we get into this, personality worship with politicians. Americans since Obama, it seems like it's all just been about personality and charisma completely. Like you always had to have charisma to get ahead as a politician, but it's just the personality has completely taken over. And Joe really doesn't have a great personality, if you ask me, but they hate Donald Trump's personality so much that they'll love Biden just as a substitute. It's so strange how far we've come from thoughtful consideration in choosing our who we're going to vote for.
Well, it's all the cult of personality now. It's who you like or who smiles the most or who makes you feel better about little things in your life, that's who you're going to vote for. And Joe Biden is a direct result of people not voting for someone. It's voting against someone is how we got Biden. They could have put the way they portrayed Trump in the last election, Democrats would have voted for a loaf of bread.
Well, that's what they're getting to do in 2024.
We've got a lobotomized moron.
Loaf of bread.
Because nobody wants. Well, I don't like Trump. I don't care if he's great. He knows what he's doing. He's made the country better. He says mean things, and I'm going to go with Joe. That's what it boiled down to. They're going to try to keep that going, even with the dementia. It's just Uncle Joe. That's what he does. But he's still a good guy, and he still loves you.
But he doesn't love us. He's not a good guy, and he doesn't tell the truth. He lies. He told one lie last night that it's one of them that just makes my head want to pop off. Here, check this out. Very short.
Our children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing?
So he's saying more children are killed by gun violence than any other way. That is not true. They say it. I don't know how they get away with it. Kamala Harris says it. All the Democrats say it. It is 100% nowhere even close to being the truth. They include 18 and 19-year-olds and call them children for the sake of that statistic. Children die from accidents, cancer, all kinds of things, like dozens of things before you get to gun violence. And the number one killer of children in America is the one we're not allowed to talk about, and that's abortion. Almost 1 million a year.
You can't talk about that.
But no, gunshots. It's just not true. And when I hear someone repeat that, it infuriates me. Like, yes, I'm upset about even one child dying from gun violence. How about the little girl that died in Chicago over the last weekend?
Yep.
Okay, no problem there. I don't hear any of them screaming about that. That was gang violence.
It doesn't matter to them unless they can make some political statement of it. The death doesn't matter. So it has to be mass shootings. Lots of people have to die for them to make it important.
That was a mass shooting. That was a mass shooting, but it was a little black girl in a black neighborhood shot by a black guy, and so we can't talk about it.
Nope, that's not news. They don't care about that. That's not important to anybody except that family. Really, who cares about that? I got a gun in my room. Had one there for 12 years. Has never once shot itself. Has never once attacked my neighbors. Has never once told me, hey, I'm going to go out and start shooting people. It's not a gun problem. I said it last weekend. It's a people problem. We have a people problem. We have an accountability problem. We have a parenting problem. We have all sorts of problems. Guns are at the bottom of that list. There are more. Inanimate objects are not a problem. Never have been, never will be.
Well, yes, they are not a problem the way the Democrats say they are.
Right.
But they're trying to take our guns away. Now that is a problem because right.
Yes,
so we've got gun problems in this country, but it's Democrats trying to disarm the population because they suck at governing.
They suck at a lot. Governing's on that list too. But they've been trying to take guns forever, and the only thing I have any faith in is the fact that the Second Amendment, no matter what they do or how hard they try, will never go away. There's enough people in this country that realize the importance of that amendment, that the other amendments will disappear if that one goes. And I think enough people realize that'll be like pulling teeth with toothpicks. It's not going to happen. I don't think people will allow that to happen. I think there's even Democrats that would fight that if it came down to, hey, we're going to get rid of the Second Amendment. What do you think? I think there's some Democrats out there like, no, that's wrong. That protects us. As soon as that goes, we're done. We're screwed. It'll be over.
Well, I mean, look, we have an entire generation of children being indoctrinated to hate America and to be socialists, communists in school. So if we allow that to continue to go on, I think you're going to be wrong, and I think you're going to be very disappointed when they overturn the Constitution and we're living in a communist nation in a generation or two, and when you and I are old people.
I'm old already.
No, I know how old you are. You're going to be real old.
I mean, you may be right. I mean, there's always a possibility. And at the end of the day, it's probably 60-40. It'll happen that way, edging towards that. But I want to hold out faith in humanity. I think there's still enough people around that it would be hard pressed to happen. I think enough people would stand up. I'd like to think enough people would stand up and go, no, we're not doing this. We're done. This is not happening.
I hope so. But I, like I said, I think it's really important that we get our country straight. You know, we get our education straight and we raise up the next generation of young people who respect and love our Constitution.
Oh, I agree.
Right now, it's not happening.
I think that goes back to parenting. We can't depend on schools to do that anymore. We have to forget and get over. Schools are never going to teach that. That's done. It's going to be parents are going to stand up and be parents and not be friends. My job to my son is not to be his buddy. We're not to hang out and have fun 24/7. I'm there to teach him. I'm there to make sure he understands what is expected of him as he gets older. To make sure he understands that we live in America and it's not perfect, but it's no other country in the world I want to live in. This is where we're at. Respect the country. Respect the Constitution. He's got the Constitution on his wall in a frame I gave to him. He's 14. He goes, I kind of get it. I said, I don't care if you kind of get it. Just know it. As you get older, it will all start to make sense to you. But right now, just kind of understand these laws are not for us. They're for the government. This keeps the government in control. This is what we use to keep them in check, not for them to keep us in check. I said, that's what you need to start understanding. This protects us from them, not them from us. And we can't depend on schools to do that anymore. They're not going to do it. They're more worried about letting Johnny be Jill and use whatever bathroom he wants to use during the day and not telling the parents. They're not going to try to educate him. They want to make sure he stays stupid.
That's exactly right. Stupid voters are very useful to them.
Yes. And like I said, it goes back to parenting. Too many parents want to be friends. They want to be that buddy that can hang out with their kids and act like they're one of the buddies, playing video games, eating pizza, and talking about things. That's not your job. When they get older, yes. When they're older and they're on their own, then you can be a friend. Because then they realize, hey, I know why you did what you did. I got my kids of my own. It all makes sense. Let's hang out and be friends. When they're young, no. If you're doing your job right as a parent, they're going to hate you probably 23 hours out of the day, 7 days a week. They're not going to, I hate you. You're so mean. Then you know you're doing your job right because you've told them no.
Because you've told them no and you put guardrails on their life and taught them right from wrong and don't, because otherwise it would be Lord of the Flies, which is actually what is happening here.
Yes.
I mean, in America, if you look at all these college kids, remember what was going on in April and May at the colleges with all the graduations being interrupted, and before that, all the protests and taking over college quads. This is some Lord of the Flies shit. What did those kids accomplish? Absolutely nothing. But they've been trained that if they do that and they put it on their resume, they're going to get a real good job. They can all go to hell. If I saw a resume like that coming at me, and even unless it says like president of the Young Republicans Club from Harvard, any other Harvard degree is going like straight in the trash. Like hit the delete button. I mean, any job application. There's no way I would be looking at it.
Well, I think if you're one of those protesters and you graduate from Harvard, I think you're guaranteed a job at Starbucks as a barista. I think that's a guarantee now. And they'll even let you wear your little Palestinian sticker or pen, and you can scream and yell about all you want while you're pouring my coffee. They don't understand. It's almost like they don't understand that there's a tomorrow coming. Like, hey, you can be an asshole today all you want, but remember, you got to wake up tomorrow and deal with the people you were just pissing on. They don't understand that. They don't grasp that. They think if I do it today, I'm fine. Nothing will ever come back on me. No, people remember. And when you act like,
go ahead.
Yeah. No, so when you act like an idiot, people don't forget that. They remember for years.
For years. And people, yes, by nature are not forgiving. Even though, I am a pretty forgiving person, but I can see that most people are not. These children, I should introduce, you'd be good friends with my mother. She doesn't have a single forgiving bone in her body. But like these kids never had any consequences. And that's why.
And like I said, it all goes back to home life. Mom and dad want to be friends. They don't want to be parents. And that just ruins the kid.
I think a lot of that it comes from, I got so many of our problems are from feminism. So many. So, the women getting talked into being put into the workforce. You can be a boss babe and all that. And, it started off with, letting women who were single, have opportunities, or widowed, be able to care for their families. And it turns into, this boss babe nonsense. And what happens is these women are working crazy hours, and then they feel guilty when they get home. So they can't parent. They just want to come in and just, what do you want? Whatever you want, I'm going to give you whatever you need. Oh, no, you can do no wrong. Mommy loves you, because they feel like shit, because they know deep down instinctively that they're not doing right by their kids. Because you cannot be a great lawyer or a great marketer, a great whatever career you chose, and also be a great mother. You're going to be half-baked at both. That's just the truth. And they know it deep down, even if they won't admit it. So that's why all this becoming friends with your kids became a thing.
Well, what's the saying? You can't serve two masters. So you're right. You can't be a perfect or great lawyer and come home and be a great mom. You can't do both equally well. You have to make a decision.
Right.
And the decision's been made by feminists that, okay, I'd rather be a great lawyer. Not so worried about the mom part. I want to be a great lawyer because I don't need no man in my life because I'm a strong, independent woman. Mm-hmm. It's like we're rewarding, and I'm going to use the word, we're rewarding stupidity in this country. We elevate stupidity. Stupid.
You can use that word. You can, I used that word talking recently, and someone was like, well, I don't want to call people stupid. And I was like, oh, you're right. And then a minute later, I was like, no, you know what? I'm dying on this hill. There are a lot of stupid people.
There are, and they're rewarded for it. They get ahead. They get all the press. They all the recognition. It's like I've said, common sense is so rare now. It should be a superpower. It is a superpower. Oh yeah, and it's a curse to those of us that have it because most people don't. I mean, prime example of stupidity getting ahead. I mean, the prime example, the Hatua girl is a millionaire. After 3 weeks, she's a millionaire. Why? Because she was in public acting like a whore.
Yeah.
And now she's a millionaire. There are people that. She's got like 1 million followers. What is she giving to society? What has she taught women or young girls? What redeeming quality is she being rewarded for?
I don't have the answer for that. There is no answer. I mean, we could come up with 1 million examples of young women and men getting rich on crass, vulgar, immoral behavior, because human beings are attracted to that. The sad thing is, she's going to end up with STDs, potentially being a single mom. She said in that video, that the guy she really likes isn't ready to settle, isn't ready to get serious. So she's just going to, keep sleeping around until he is. Like, he's not coming back for you, honey. Like, maybe for one lonely, bored night, when he's in a dry spell, he'll stop by, but he's not coming back with a ring, and these girls think that. They don't realize how damaging it is to themselves, to their future prospects. And now if she does ever get married and have kids, or have kids in any possible way, like, her kids are going to know her as that.
Yeah. It's sad that someone like that gets so much publicity, and yet you have soldiers and nurses and people who actually do things for society go unnoticed. And that's just a symptom of the problem in this country. It's like when I was in the Navy, the first attack bin Laden did was the ship, the Cole, USS Cole. Had the boat roll up to it, blew it up, and killed, I think, 13 sailors. Was in the news all of one day, because the next day, Dale Earnhardt Jr. died.
Wow.
And the Cole was forgotten about. All they did for 2 weeks was talk about a guy who drove real fast in circles and won some fast cars. The Cole was forgotten. And that's acceptable in this country. I'll never understand it. It's ridiculous. It's a slap into the face of anybody who tries to provide, not for themselves, but for everyone, for society. Like I said, nurses and everything. Oh, Dale Earnhardt, he died. He drives real fast. See, that's more important than a bunch of 15, 19-year-old sailors who were sleeping and got blown to bits. Yeah, that's more important. Let's talk about the fast one.
But it's all about idolatry. And it's biblical. It is biblical in nature. We're warned right from the beginning not to idolize any God, anything but God. And we see it. So, I mean, it's really taken hold in American culture over the last, what would you say, 50 to 70 years, right when movies really came out, I think is when it really got crazy, and so it's part of the battle of good and evil, if you ask me.
No, I agree. I mean, the devil or whoever you want to attribute to evil is insidious because he doesn't do anything in big chunks. It's little baby steps, little teeny things that no one really takes notice of. Like you're saying, over 70 years, this has been going on. Because if anything happens at one time, people notice it. Like, oh, we're not doing that's bad. Little baby steps over 30 years, you have no idea what you're doing is bad now because it's ingrained.
It's like an abusive relationship. Like,
yes.
Nobody gets punched in the face on the first date. It starts slowly. It starts loving. It's fun, and then it's an insult, and then it's a word, and then comes with an apology, and then another insult, and an apology, and then 5 insults in a row, and then maybe a half-ass apology, and then you get your ass beat. That's what happens with the devil. It's like this Machiavellian conditioning. Yep. That's how you take over a society too. You restrict their freedoms one at a time, little by little. Remember, it started, let's say somewhere, maybe there was something before this, but remember 20 years ago, we started talking about political correctness.
Yep.
They corrected our speech. We all said, okay, fine, we'll be more polite. Look at it now. Look at us now in full-blown censorship mode.
And again, this all goes back to parenting. This is where a parent needs to stand in and go, hey, look, you can't be rude to people, but say what you think. Express yourself. And if that offends somebody because you're expressing yourself, to hell with them. Who cares? You have a right to express yourself. You have a right to voice displeasure. You have a right to be upset. You have a right to be angry. And no one can tell you can't be that way. No one can tell you can't say I'm angry or you've pissed me off. Well, that offends me. Tough shit. You have offended me by telling me I can't tell you what I'm thinking. Parents need to start stepping up. Yes. Stop depending on everybody else to teach your kids what's right. You need to do that. Your kid didn't call you and go, hey, can you have me next month? Because I want to be born now. They didn't ask. We brought them in. We owe them. We owe them to educate them. We owe them to help them. And it doesn't stop at 18. And that's what pisses me off the most. Parents go, when he's 18, I'm buying him luggage and he's out of here. Why? He doesn't stop being your kid. That's like your child.
I know that happens. I don't know if it happens as much as it used to. Honestly, I think that people are still babying their kids up until they're 40 at this point.
Well, yeah, the Dems baby. The Republicans lead their kids. Like, hey, you may be 35 out of your house, but there's still stuff I can teach you. So let me tell you something. Dems like, oh yeah, let me change your diapers and get you a Hot Pocket, and we'll watch SpongeBob together. That's the difference between Republican parents and liberal parents.
Let's switch gears a little bit, if you don't mind.
No.
I want to talk about George Clooney. Have you been? Oh, okay. I guess you've got an opinion. Let me just give a little background for everyone else in case they were under a rock in a coma this week and missed it. So George Clooney put out an op-ed the other day in the New York Times. I guess, you just make a phone call if you're George Clooney and they'll print your op-ed and bow down quickly.
George.
And, he said that basically it was this op-ed saying how much he loves Joe Biden. Joe Biden's the best. And he's worked for years to raise money for the Democrats. And, but he really thinks, George is that Joe's showing his age and, we all get old and we should really be more compassionate, but it's time for the Democrats to say we need to replace him. And even though that's going to be difficult and it's, they got all the campaign money, most of that money can probably go to a new candidate. And so we should take on this challenge and be a team and come together and stop the infighting and kill off Joe. And that was the op-ed. And one of the things he said was, I'm going to read this. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I make no apologies for that. I'm proud of what my party represents and what it stands for. And that makes me hit the ceiling. That he can say he's proud when we look at the state of this country, of the people dying of 100,000 people, excuse me, this year are going to die of a fentanyl overdose. Little girls being kidnapped and raped and murdered by illegals because the border's just been left wide open. I mean, it goes on and on sitting on the edge of World War III, and he's proud of himself. But I am so over George Clooney, and I know there's an awful lot more to say about this, and I'm going to let you say some of it because I'm actually getting mad all over again.
As far as George Clooney, and I'm going to include every actor in Hollywood for the most part, when it comes to them telling me their political views or what they think I should do or how I should feel, I giggle because they're there just to entertain me. Dance, sing, act, paint a wall for me. But I could care less what you think about anything outside of that. You're a professional liar. I don't know when you're talking to me if you're being honest or you're rehearsing for a part. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just assume every time they open their mouth, you're lying to me. George Clooney is the biggest pompous asshole I think I've ever seen, other than De Niro, because De Niro's creeping up on him too with being an asshole. But every time George Clooney opens his mouth, I want to kick a puppy. I can't stand him. He could tell me, hey, Seth, I've found the cure for cancer and I'd like to share it with you. I would throat punch him. I wouldn't care what he had to. It's like, you're George Clooney and you're like fingernails on a chalkboard. I hate you.
He is beyond obnoxious and pompous. Was that you really hit the nail on the head with that? He is extremely pompous. He flies around his private jets with his fancy lawyer wife, who is involved in very very elite level politics.
She's an anti-Semite too.
She's an anti-Semite. They hate the Jews, and he hasn't had a reality check in probably 30 years since his career took off. I'm just disgusted with his lack of reality. I'm disgusted that he knew he's either now, they've been playing this other game about Biden all week. Like, were they lying or are they stupid? And, they have to admit like it's going to be one or the other. And I believe that both can exist at the same time. But was George lying or stupid when he got all of his friends to give tens of millions of dollars to Joe Biden? Imagine being his friend who he's calling and being like, please help me out here. This guy's good. I'm telling you, I just saw him. He's ready to go. Everything is great. He's going to win. I just need 10 million. And the friend, because they've known George for years, they give him the 10 million. And then that debate happens. I mean, like, George is just, he's got a stink on him now. From conservatives that go with Democrats, everybody. You better stay in Italy.
I
heard something.
There's like something. It's to a point now where, like I said, it's either scream or laugh. And if I start screaming, I'm afraid I'm not going to stop. So I'm going to stick with laughing. But these people are. If it weren't real, it would be comical. If this were a movie, I'd be laughing my ass off. But it's not, and it's concerning. And the more concerning thing is people listen to him. People listen to these stars, and that's gospel to them. Well, George Clooney said this. I
trust George Clooney. Yeah, he's a doctor.
And Robert De Niro's really a tough guy. So if he says it, we've got to believe him. It's like the guy from Sons of Anarchy, the older guy with the weird jaw. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Played Hellboy. He's a pretty big actor. But he put something out about, Trump's a lonely man, an evil man, a sick man, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, dude, you're not really in a biker gang, right? You're really not that tough. You're not a tough dude. You're an actor who played a tough guy who now thinks he really is a tough guy. And so with all these actors, they play this part, and I think they start to believe they are that important. I played a doctor. I'm just as important as a doctor. But they're not. They are not. And it's like I said, if it's scream or cry or scream or laugh, and I gotta laugh at them. I can't.
I do both. It really depends on the mood, which way the mood is swinging. I do enjoy watching, like hearing people say, "I don't watch I don't watch this actor anymore. I can't watch anything with that actor anymore. I really do, because I've like almost completely stopped watching like just modern entertainment. Do you know what I've been watching for 2 months every night at bedtime? Highway to Heaven from the 80s. Michael Landon. Yeah, I'm on season 3. I don't know what's going to happen when I run out at season 5, but I'm going to have to just start, because I can't take the modern entertainment anymore. Because every time I see one of these faces, I'm like, oh, liberal this, liberal that, like Anne Hathaway. Oh, everything is ruined that she ever did. Again, Clooney, De Niro, and the list goes on and on.
I think they like I said, they buy into their own bullshit so much that they think they're that important to people. I have something important to say, and it's my duty to let all you peons know what I think, because without me, you're lost. I'm George Clooney. So listen to me, fear me, and hear me, worship me. And I think they really feel that way when they talk like, yeah, I'm important. You need to listen to me. I know more than you do. And there are fools out there that go, yes, you do. I will listen to you. Yes, sir. Wow. It's sad.
He really made a schmuck out of himself this week. He really did. I mean, you gotta give it to him. He did a great job of putting egg on his own face.
He will never, ever, ever admit that. Ever. And nobody around him will tell him, hey, George, you're an idiot, by the way. We saw what you said. You're an idiot. Just wanted you to know that.
No, nobody ever will, because, and that happened. It's funny that there's this Navy SEAL, retired Navy SEAL named Tom Shea, and he's a really, he's a cool guy, and he's amazing, like Bronze Star, Silver Star, like best-selling author, 23 years with the SEALs, like he was the head of SEAL Sniper School, like he's just like an amazing man, and he does a lot of coaching with CEOs and like very high level executives. And, he's just like super straight talker. And I've had a lot of conversations with him, and he'll say something to me and I'm like, that hurt, but I needed to hear that, like he just says it like it is. And one of the things that he gets as feedback is how much they appreciate that somebody will just tell him like it is, like, oh, this problem you're having, here's why, it's you. And here's what's going on. And because everyone around them just kisses their ass. And that's just, and those aren't even famous people. Those are just very, very rich, successful men. Imagine adding fame to that. No one's going to tell George Clooney he's wrong. Maybe he'll have one friend, maybe, whoever does. And even that person's probably going to expect to get their head cut off.
Well, yeah. I think most of those people in Hollywood are fragile. I think their egos are so fragile that if they even thought someone didn't agree with them, like De Niro just loses his shit if he hears someone disagree with him. He starts screaming and yelling at him. It's like, dude, you have to wear platform shoes just to be at eye level with me. Move along. You're wrong. Deal with it. But no, they can't. They get physically defensive when you disagree with them. You can watch YouTube after YouTube of famous people hearing someone tell them no. They get physical because they're just that fragile. They can't believe someone would tell me no, or they don't agree with me. I have to defend myself now.
Yeah, humility is just not part of that world. Hollywood is a terrible place. I mean, I lived and worked there in the business for 1 year when I was right out of college, a couple of years out of college, and I couldn't get out of LA fast enough. Everything it wasn't like you met somebody and they were like, hi, how are you? Tell me about yourself. It was, hi, what can you do for me? Dead serious. And if you couldn't do anything for that, I had people in that 1 year more than once, just like, okay, turn and walk away, like lose the smile and walk away. Like I can't waste time on anybody that's not going to help me forward my agenda, my career. It's just an egomaniacal, psychotic place. And, some people do all right and get out of it. But George has got an ego, big as that Chinese spy balloon that his favorite president let fly across the country.
Probably bigger.
Maybe it was never a Chinese spy balloon. It was just George Clooney's ego.
His big
the whole time.
Look at me, worship me. I am George Clooney.
All right. I want to take a very quick break for our sponsor, Smoking Gun Coffee. And when we come back, we're going to get into Louisiana, Oklahoma, and 10 Commandments in school. It's actually kind of a heated conversation, so stick around for it.
Born in the coastal plains of South Texas, Smoking Gun Coffee is founded by combat veterans that know exactly what a cup of coffee needs to taste like. Run by father and son, each coffee bean is perfected, roasted at 500 degrees, and cooled with a Gulf Coast breeze. Smoking Gun Coffee hand makes and bags each ounce of coffee for maximum customer satisfaction. With every purchase, 10% goes back to organizations that help veterans and local communities. That's Texas made, one bag at a time. To find out more, go to www.smokingguncoffee.com.
All right, go to smokingguncoffee.com and use code MOTHER for a discount. That's me, base mother, but just mother's just the code.
Is it M-U-T-H-A?
No, don't confuse people. It's M-O-T-H-E-R. Yeah, like as if you didn't go to American public school and you learned how to spell it correctly. That's how you spell it. That's the code.
I don't know why it's making me laugh so much, but that is. I don't know why.
Sad. It's sad because they can't read coming out of school anymore. That's why.
That's true.
Yeah, we've got a big advantage over the younger generation. They can't read and write in cursive. They can't drive stick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
None of us.
Theft device.
At least half of us can drive a stick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. So let's talk about this. So in Louisiana, in the last couple of weeks, the governor signed into law that every classroom in the state has to have a poster-sized copy of the 10 Commandments. And also last month, the Oklahoma Superintendent of Education, a guy named Ryan Walters, he said that the Bible is going to be taught in all Oklahoma schools as part of the curriculum. What do you think?
I think it's awesome.
Right?
Let's, for the sake of argument, because we know there's probably atheists out there right now that heard you say that and their blood's spurting out of their ears and they're gouging their own eyes out. So let's look at it this way. Take God and the holy implication of the Bible out. It is the world's oldest history text we have. It has the first recorded murder ever on this planet recorded in it. It has the Roman Empire recorded in it. It has things that people saw firsthand and wrote down. Not that we're reading about
geography, archaeology.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you take everything out that's religious, there's nothing wrong with reading that book. Nothing. Put the religious aspect back into it. There's still nothing wrong with reading that book. If you read the Bible and you decide to live by the Bible, there's nothing wrong with it. You're not hurting anyone. And if anything, you're going to enrich yourself. You're going to be a better person to be around. You're going to be friendly. You're going to be nicer. Same thing with the 10 Commandments. If you just take the 10 Commandments by themselves and stand alone and you live by those 10 Commandments, you're going to live a pretty good life. You're going to be a pretty good person. People are going to like you and they're going to want to be around you.
Yeah.
So there's no problem. I don't understand. I think they should, every religion, it's any education is good education. Anything you learn is good. It enlightens you. If it takes you out of your comfort zone, even better. That's why I think atheists should read the Bible. Get out of your comfort zone. Stop being certain about everything in your life and do this. Be uncomfortable. Read this book because you will learn. And if nothing else, you'll pull things out of there that you can do in your everyday life. And it will make you a better person. There's nothing in that book that will make you a bad person. Nothing.
No, that's absolutely true. I love everything you just said about that, and except the part about like that, just put God aside because you really can't in the Bible. You really can't. But we'll get to that in a second because let me show you a clip of Ryan Walters, the Oklahoma superintendent, and he was on CNN explaining why he was why he believes that the Bible needs to be taught. And also, while you're listening to him, just take a look at the anchor's face because it's priceless.
I support teaching children our history accurately. And what we've seen is the radical left and the teachers union have driven the Bible out of schools. You can't talk about our rights coming from God, as Thomas Jefferson referenced. You can't talk about Abraham Lincoln talking about being on God's side and what he does, and that inspires him. You can't talk about the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King Jr., who routinely referenced examples from the Bible, including from a letter from a Birmingham jail, to say the reason I'm doing the things I'm doing is because of the tenets taught to me by the Bible. So it's essential that our kids understand our history, and we're going to put it back in. And the left is going to continue to try to censor our history. Well, we're not going to allow it here in Oklahoma.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
right? I just thought he had such a brilliant explanation because how it ties into American history, and we know that they have twisted that and made that all about hatred and division and activism and desire to destroy the country. So that guy, man, I totally am such a fan of his just from that one clip.
And the way he talked about it wasn't like in your face. He was just very factual. These are facts. Fact. And you can't argue with facts because facts don't give a shit about your feelings. Facts are facts.
Listen,
always will be.
Libs can do a great job of arguing with facts, man. Because they just twist them and turn them and tell you how they feel about them. Yeah, they argue with facts all day long. And they can't win. They can't win.
I was going to say that the one thing is you can only argue if someone else participates.
Yeah.
So if I say a fact and they go, that's not true, where are you going? I'm not talking to you. You're an idiot. And you walk away. Let them argue with themselves because the fact is not going to change. I'm at the age now where I don't argue with people. Because you know what? I don't give a shit what you think. 2 + 2 is 4. No, it's not. It's 7. Okay, great. Have a good day. I'm not arguing. I'm not because I know the fact. The fact is that you don't want to agree with it. That's good. Have a good day. But I agree with everything he said. There's nothing wrong at all with the Bible being in schools. Nothing wrong with the 10 Commandments being in schools. What happens is there are people out there who twist it. It's not the Bible and the 10 Commandments that are bad. It's some people who read it and twist it to what they want it to mean. That's where a problem occurs. It's not with the Bible. It's not with the 10 Commandments. Again, it goes back to a people problem.
You know, they keep saying one of the reasons they say is that, separation of church and state. And what people don't realize is that when separation of church and state was written into the Constitution, it was just to say that the nation will not declare a national religion,
exactly,
an official religion, so that everyone can have freedom. But there is no real way to separate the United States of America and our laws and our moral founding from the Bible, because it was founded on biblical principles, and it says so in all of our founding documents.
Yep.
And then they hate that so much. They just hate it.
What always has amazed me with the left and when it comes to the Bibles and schools and religion in general is they are so adamant that you better not shove that in my face. I don't have to listen to that. You're being rude. But if you don't agree with transsexuals, you're just an idiot. And I'm going to shove that in your face and you better take it. They have a double standard. And when you point it out to them, they get angry because then they're like, yeah, you know what? I am an asshole. Jeez, I didn't realize that. But there's a double standard. And what people need to do on the right side, and I don't mean politically, I mean on the right side of the argument, is not pay attention to that double standard and keep doing what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with the Bible in school. So if this guy says, well, we want to have kids use whatever bathroom they want to use, they can change their names. But boys can be girls, girls can be boys. Cats will sleep with dogs, yada, yada, yada. Ignore them. Don't acknowledge what they say. You keep doing what you're doing. Because if you keep doing what you're doing and you don't respond to that, eventually you will bend their will to yours. Because they're going to know why you're not talking to them. Why aren't you responding to me? Why don't you answer me? What is going on? Then they're going to want to talk to you. They're going to stop yelling because they're going to know why. And then that's when you bend them to your will. Like, this is why I'm doing this. And it works. It works. I mean, I know I got a 14-year-old. You got to just, every once in a while, you don't respond to them. And they're like, well, what's going on? What did I do? Why am I wrong? You're not wrong. Let's talk. And then they listen. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, a little bit of silence. A little bit of silence.
It works. It works. And that's what we got to do. People will say, well, we got to fight. We got to pound our chest. We got to scream. And no, we don't. No, we don't.
I heard you talking about this on your show, in line with this is, one of the ways that, and we do have to fight certain things, but
Well, yes.
one of the way, well, like there's a time for fighting, but while we're fighting, we also really have to, live the values that we want to see in this country. I heard you say, sit down at the dinner table as many nights a week as you can with your family. And everybody listening here now made a commitment this week to at least 3 times, I'm going to sit at dinner time with my family, no phones. And we started telling our friends to do that and so on. What we would have a seismic shift in this country right away if people actually prioritize that again.
People don't understand how important the family is. Everything that you do, whether you want to admit it or not, is for your family. So why would you want to ignore your family? Why include them? Sit down, have dinner, go do things as a family. Stop worrying about all the minutia that goes on during your day, because that's all it is. At the end of the day, what happened at work doesn't matter. What happens is, what's important is who's at your table. The people at that table you're eating with are what's important. Nothing else matters. And once we get back to that,
you can't be sitting there like this while somebody's eating. Yeah.
And once we get back to that, we're gonna start taking control of things again. Once we put the power back to the family, we're gonna be able to kind of move things the way we want them to move, because that's where the power is, in the family. Like I said, talk to your neighbors if you want to know what's going on. Don't watch the news. Go talk to your neighbor. Have dinner with your neighbor and invite your neighbor over for dinner with your family.
Right. If you don't live near your family, right.
Yes.
If you haven't built your own family yet. Yes. Like, don't say, oh man, you can't do it. Yeah, you can. You can.
It's so important, and it's so easy to do. Like you just said, if we start doing that little thing, family time, making it a priority,
yes,
everything else will fall into place. If everybody starts doing it, things will fall into place the way they should, the way they're supposed to be, because the way we're living now is not how it was designed. This is not what God wanted for anybody, working 90 hours a week, get home for 12, shove some food in your face, go to sleep, get up and repeat it again.
Not spending time with your spouse and your kids and your neighbors. No, he wanted us in community with the people around us. And he wanted people to be a priority.
And if we look back in time, like in the 50s, when that was going on, life was great. There was no school shootings. There was no mass shootings. There was no craziness going on. And if there was, it was proportional to what was going on in the time.
Yes.
Life was easy. And then, like you said, you introduce feminism, where, hey, you don't have to have a husband. You can do this on your own. And then you introduce everything the government throw in there. The design was to pull the family apart, take that power away from where it belongs and put it somewhere else. And that's where it's got, like I said, it goes back to parenting, goes back to family. It starts there.
You just gave me the perfect segue to something I brought to the table to talk tonight, where you're talking about we're taking the power away from the family, and they want the power there. To go back to the 10 Commandments in the schools, like I have a theory on why every single one of these commandments is so damn offensive to the Democrats, why it is so troubling to them to have it there. I mean, they hate Christians. We know that. It's no big deal. I'm a white Christian nationalist, and they say that like it's a bad thing. Like, white just happens to be the color of my skin. Damn straight, I'm a Christian. And and you can also bet your life that I love my country. So but they say it like it's an insult, and I'm like, oh, thanks. So they hate us. So, and they don't even know that the 10 Commandments are from the Old Testament, which is
no idea.
Yeah, no idea. But all right, let's just go with the first one. You shall have no other God before me. So in my mind, they want the government to be God.
Yes.
Right.
They want all the authority and power there. They don't want you looking outwards. They look towards DC. That is the seat of holiness to them. That's where God resides, is in the White House.
Exactly. Look to your government. We will provide you with housing, with food, with shelter. I mean, with health care, and if you need mental health, medicine, whatever you need, you come to the government. We're going to take care of you, right? When the Bible teaches us to go to God for everything.
But you can't do that, because you're bypassing the government then, and that's not right. The government provides all. Don't need anybody else. The government.
Yeah. So you can't have kids asking questions about that. that, dilemma. Number 2, you shall not make for yourselves an idol. So, that's about idolatry.
And I think money's the big idol now. Everything is for money.
Well, their idol is money, but I don't know if they want kids to if they're really training kids to go after money. They're training kids to go to idolize themselves and their feelings and their sexuality and whatever little, shiny ball is bouncing by that makes them feel important in some sort of an activism way,
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. So they're false. They're giving kids false idols. And that is something they don't want kids questioning also.
Nope.
You shouldn't misuse the name of the Lord your God. And we don't want kids going, why is God special? Because they might get an honest answer from somebody.
Something might make sense to them. Like, oh, that makes sense to me.
Yep. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy.
I remember Blue Days. Do you remember those?
No. What is that?
Blue Sun. In Maryland, when I was a kid, going way back, on Sunday, pretty much everything was closed. Everything. I think,
Paramus, New Jersey still has that.
Okay, yeah, it was everything. I saw a few restaurants were open, but for the vast majority of things were shut down. Malls were shut down. Retail stores were shut down. They had to close. And you know what? Life went on. Nobody missed a beat. Yeah, nobody missed a beat. You weren't like, oh my gosh, I got to get to Home Depot, but they're closing. The world's going to end now. It was nice. It was the one day a week everybody knew they could stay at home and do what they had to do with the family. There was no, because you couldn't go anywhere.
Right? You went to church.
Yep.
If that was your jam. And then your grandparents came over for dinner, or you went to grandma's house, whatever it was family dinner day, and nobody had to go work at Walmart.
Nope.
Or the donut shop.
And nothing, the world didn't end. It was
actually
fine.
The world is ending the way we're doing it now.
Oh yeah, the way we're doing, we're running to hell in a handbasket. But back then it was nice. Very relaxed. Nothing changed. Life was still good. Things got done. And
that day of rest and family and making, it was a special day.
Yes,
it really was. And by that commandment being put in front of kids, they'll again, like they want to teach them nothing is holy, nothing is sacred, nothing is special really, except for you and your feelings and all the things we want you to idolize. Those are the special things.
Yep.
But, so to teach children that there's this concept of a day of rest and fellowship with your fellow human beings, that's again, that interrupts that government is your God thing. And so like I could go down this whole list. Honor your father and mother.
Yep.
They're telling little kids that their parents don't know them and they got their gender wrong, and we will keep secrets from your parents with you. They're doing that in states all over this country.
They do it in my county. They do it in my county openly, and people applaud it.
So this is why they don't want the 10 Commandments. You shall not murder. How does that one work with Roe v. Wade crowd?
I think a lot of people. Well, number one, I firmly believe we all got to stand tall in front of the man at one point. We're all going to answer for everything we've ever done. And I would rather go do that and say, look, I accepted you. I knew you were real. And yeah, I sinned. I screwed up. I apologize. And it wasn't done with any intent to offend you. It's just because I'm stupid. Verse going, well, I didn't believe in you, so I did what I wanted to do. What felt good is what I did. I could give a shit what you think. So do what you got to do. Because that's going to end horribly for people. So, and like I said before we were talking, if you live by the Bible, what are you really losing? What are you giving up? It's a good life. You're going to be a good person. What's wrong with that?
Listen, I'll tell you what they're teaching these kids. Oh, it's over there. I can't get it. So they're teaching these kids in middle schools, there are books about orgies.
Yes.
And, swinging. And, that STDs are no biggie. So if you're looking at don't commit adultery and don't covet and don't do all this, you're giving up all that pleasure. It's literally like devil stuff. Like you're giving up all that pleasure. So when you say, what are you giving up? The Dems will say, oh, they're giving up their freedom to be who they are and explore every devilish base impulse they have no control over, and they don't need control. They're content to get every STD on earth, all the time.
I mean, I agree with you. I know that that's what they mean, and it goes right back to what I said earlier. Accountability starts at home. Parents have got to be parents. They got to stop worrying about whether my kid likes me or not. Are we going to hang out this weekend? Are we going to go play game? Don't worry about that. They're going to hate you. Till they're 27 or 30, they're going to hate your guts. Just deal with it, put your big boy pants on, and go be a parent. Because I think at the end of the day, when you stand tall in front of the man, I think he's going to ask the first thing is, hey, you were a parent, and you didn't raise your kids right. So I really can't blame your kids for what they did because it was your responsibility, and you chose to not accept it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why did you choose to shirk that, the biggest responsibility you'll have in your entire life? Why did you shirk it? Why was it not important then?
Because the 10 Commandments weren't part of their lives, and they weren't taught the basic morality that's in the Bible, that even if you don't believe in God, like you said, these laws and these tenets are going to give you a good life. And that's why they shirk it, because they it's self-idolatry, and it's saying to hell with God and to hell with the morality that's run the world for 2,000 years.
What do they know? I think once we get back to family unit, gets that power back, I think things will start to change for the better. I really, really do.
I completely agree, but we have to do it. We have to not just scream about the things we're mad about. We have to be like, when we're not screaming, like you said, I can't say it enough. Have those dinners.
Yes.
Go to church or synagogue or whatever you do with your you've been neglecting to do. Many of us, I did for years. I don't anymore. Thank God. Whatever it is that you want to see in this world, turn off the nasty music. Play things that are going to feed your soul, that in a healthy, positive way. We have to make these changes for ourselves and for our families.
Completely agree. And I think the best way to do it is if you ever feel like you're overwhelmed and I can't do this anymore, fuck it. Listen to a kid laugh. Listen to your kids laughing. That'll re-energize you in a heartbeat. It'll give you faith back in humanity, and you'll feel good. Just good's not even the strong enough word. You'll feel awesome. That just hearing them laugh or talking with them and being silly, that little interaction will make you feel better, and that will last with your child forever. They will remember that forever. They'll forget video games. They'll forget games. They'll forget going to parties. They will remember the time. Hey, Dad, remember that time you sat down with me and we talked about gummy bears for 30 minutes and we couldn't stop laughing? When you're 90 and he's 75, he'll remember that.
So it's so true. It's so true. I mean, we have certain memories that my sonny he's only 20, but he'll bring them up and be like, oh my, do you remember when we couldn't breathe? That time in the car,
Yes. And that will override the BS they're hearing in schools, the bull crap they're seeing on TVs. Those little moments will build a lifetime of good. They can live on those. They can drink those. They can eat those. Those will keep them alive at the very moment they need them the most. That little thing that you may think, that's a big deal, whatever, that will carry them for years. And that's why I said we got to get back to eating as a family. Turn the phones off, turn the TV off, and just talk about nonsense that we're talking about. Just have fun.
We do have to do more of that, all of us. All right, I'm in.
Good.
I'm in. I'm going to call Sonny. He's not even here. He's in another state right now, but I'm going to get his little ass here and say, sit at that table. Oh,
it's worth it. It's worth it. There's no words to describe it. It's worth it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that don't. They eat alone every night, or they eat families that just eat at separate times. Like they all just go get something when they're hungry. Like that's the strangest thing to me, that you got 3 or 4 people, 5 people in the house, and you're actually have the opportunity to eat together and don't. That's bonkers.
It's things you'll never get back. If you don't do it, you're never going to get, let's try. We can redo that. No, you can't. You missed it. It's gone. The opportunity's left. You may get another one, but you're not going to get many more. Take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah. All right. All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up here tonight.
Good
This
deal.
has been so much fun.
Oh yes.
So much fun. Guys, listen, where can everybody find you?
Sunday nights on Rumble and X, I do my conservative corner. I'm on Facebook, the conservative corner, but Facebook is a joke. I hate Facebook. But I'm still on there, unfortunately. So you can follow me on there. But yeah,
On Rumble, Patriots Prayer Network
yes.
on Rumble,
Yes.
right?
See, I'm new to all this. So I don't know exactly where I'm at now. I
Yeah.
know X, Rumble, Facebook, and that's where I think that's it. I don't know. But yeah.
Right.
And I appreciate you letting me on because you're awesome. I've watched you before. You're cool. It's
Thank
very
you.
calm. It's like a conversation. It's not like we're doing anything other than talking over dinner or over sitting in a park. It's very calm. It's relaxing, and I enjoyed it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I loved having you on. You're coming back for sure. Yeah,
whenever you want
we're
me.
gonna do this again because I actually, yeah, I really enjoy it too. I like just talking, having a conversation. And I really appreciate your perspective on a lot of these things and your sense of humor. This was fun, guys. So yeah, so listen, so let me redo Seth's spiel for him. So he's on Rumble. The Patriots Prayer Network is the channel on Rumble where you can find Seth's show, The Conservative Corner, on Sunday nights, right?
7 o'clock.
I want them to actually find you.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, 7 o'clock Sunday nights. You can listen to me scream and moan and avoid having a stroke. So it's worth it. It's fun. The over-under is like 4 shows before I had the stroke.
This is actually all right. I'm gonna. It's not over yet, so I don't want to jinx myself completely. But this is the first show I've had where I didn't have a major malfunction.
Okay, well that's good.
So the first time I lost control of my adjustable desk and everything tipped over and my camera went flying and I was live.
Wow.
Another time I was talking for like a minute and a half and my microphone wasn't on, and like it just every time it's been something. So
I did that
whatever.
my first time. I talked for 6 minutes and didn't hit to go live, and I was just sitting there steady talking.
Oh, I did that too. That was 11 minutes. And then I looked and it says go live. And I was like, oh, I thought I hit it. Nope. Yeah. Same. So, doing these solo shows where you have to plan the show and what you're going to talk about and get in touch with your guests and do all the tech, it's a learning curve.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
It really is. It's a miracle that, we're pulling it together, but we're all committed to trying to get truth out and trying to get the word out and just letting people know that there are other just regular Americans out here who feel the way they feel, who feel isolated, and they're sick of the talking heads. They don't trust the news anymore. They want to hear regular people saying, things that are going on in their own minds.
And before you go, I just want to say this to anybody who's watching now, later, or listens, whatever. You need to understand you don't need to be famous. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be known throughout the lands to start making a positive change. It just takes one act. Like we've been saying, having dinner with your family is that act that will just propagate. It'll spread because your family will tell their friends, hey, I had dinner with my family last night. It was really great. They'll tell their family, can we do this? And before you know it, it won't be a trend. It'll be just how things will be from now on. So don't get beat up or feel bad because I'm not famous. Nobody listens to me. Your family listens to you. That's where the power resides, in your family. Start there and watch it grow.
Right on. All right. Here's how I'm going to wrap this up tonight. Okay. So first of all, please guys, drop a sub, like this show. Very grateful for you to be here. God bless America. And I'm going to leave one note, this little special segment. I'm going to play a video and then it's over, for my friend, Ryan Walters. I don't know him. He's not my friend. The superintendent of education in Oklahoma, the guy who we saw earlier, who gave his wonderful explanation of why he's going to be making sure the Bible is taught in schools. Dude, this one's for you.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oh, Oklahoma, every night my honey lamb and I sit alone and talk and watch a hawk making lazy circles in the sky. We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. And when we say, I-F-I-O-E-A, we're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, okay.
Good night, everybody.
Take it easy.